The train station was packed with people rushing to catch their evening rides home. Among them, a young woman walked slowly, trying her best to blend in with the crowd. She wore a loose gray hoodie that was too big for her small frame and dark sunglasses even though the sun had already started to set. Her name was Aina, and she was carrying everything she owned in a single black bag. Her hands shook as she gripped the handle tighter. Every step felt like it took all her strength, but she knew she couldn't stop now. Not after what happened 2 nights ago. Anna had been married for 3 years to a man who seemed perfect when they first met. He was charming, successful, and made her feel special. But slowly, things changed. First, it was just angry words when he had a bad day at work, then came the pushing, then the hitting. And now she was carrying his child, and his anger had gotten worse than ever. The bruise around her left eye was still fresh and painful. She touched it gently through her sunglasses, remembering how it happened. She had asked him to be quieter because the neighbors might hear his shouting. That simple request had sent him into a rage that lasted for hours. "You think you're better than me?" He had screamed, his face red with anger. "You think you can? Tell me what to do in my own house?" The slap came so fast she didn't see it coming. Then another and another, but this time was different. This time, when she fell to the floor, he didn't stop. He kept yelling, kept hitting, and for the first time, he grabbed her stomach where their baby was growing. "Maybe this will teach you some respect," he had said, his voice cold and scary. That night, lying in bed with ice on her face, Aina made a decision. She couldn't let her child grow up in this house. She couldn't let her baby see what she had been living with. She had to leave, no matter how scared she was. The next morning, while he was at work, Aina moved quickly. She packed only what she could carry. Some clothes, a few pictures of her family, and the little money she had been hiding for months. She had been saving dollar bills whenever she could, hiding them in an old book he never touched. She had exactly $200. It wasn't much, but it was enough for a train ticket to the city where her sister lived. Her sister didn't know she was coming. Aina had been too ashamed to tell anyone about what was really happening in her marriage. Now, standing in the busy train station, Aina felt dizzy. She had been feeling sick a lot lately, but the doctor said it was normal for pregnant women. Tonight felt different, though. The stress of leaving, the fear of being caught, and the pain from her injuries were all mixing together. She looked around for somewhere to sit and rest. The benches were all full of people waiting for their trains. Her train wouldn't arrive for another 20 minutes, and she wasn't sure she could stand that long. Aina started walking toward the far end of the platform, where there might be an empty spot. But with each step, the world seemed to spin a little more. Her vision got blurry, and she felt like she might throw up. She stopped and leaned against a pillar, trying to take deep breaths like the doctor had taught her. Just breathe," she whispered to herself. "You're almost there, just a few more minutes." But her body had other plans. The stress of the last few days, the fear of being found, and the physical pain from her injuries had pushed her past her limit. She felt her knees getting weak, and the sounds of the train station started to fade away. Aina tried to grab onto something, anything, to keep herself from falling. But there was nothing close enough. The last thing she remembered was the feeling of falling and hoping that someone would help her. In that moment of collapse, Aina couldn't know that her life was about to change completely. She couldn't know that falling down would be the first step toward getting back up stronger than ever. All she knew was that she had finally found the courage to leave, and whatever happened next had to be better than what she was running from. The train station continued to buzz with activity around her. People were busy with their own lives, their own problems, their own destinations. Most didn't notice one small woman in a gray hoodie who had just collapsed near the platform, but sometimes, in the middle of our darkest moments, when we feel most alone and afraid, help comes from the most unexpected places. Sometimes a stranger's kindness can change everything. Sometimes the person who catches you when you fall becomes the person who helps you learn to stand strong again. Aina was about to discover this truth in the most beautiful way possible. The moment Aina's knees gave out, she thought she was going to hit the cold concrete floor hard. But instead of the painful impact she expected, she felt strong arms catch her before she could fall completely. "Whoa there, easy now," came a gentle voice with a slight southern accent. Ana's eyes fluttered open to see a man's face looking down at her with genuine concern. He had kind brown eyes and was wearing a well-worn cowboy hat. His face was weathered from years of working outdoors, but his expression was soft and caring. "You're okay, miss. I've got you," he said quietly, helping her sit down on the ground carefully. "Just take your time." The man's name was Luke, and he had been waiting for his train home when he noticed Ana swaying dangerously near the platform. Edge, years of working with horses, had given him quick reflexes, and he had moved without thinking when he saw her about to collapse. "Thank you," Ana whispered, her voice shaky. She tried to sit up straighter, but Luke gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "Don't rush it, just breathe for a minute," he said. "When's the last time you ate something?" Ana thought about it. She had been too nervous to eat much all day. "This morning, I think." "Maybe yesterday, I'm not sure." Luke frowned with worry. He reached into his backpack and pulled out a water bottle and a granola bar. "Here, take small sips of this water. And try to eat a little bit of this if you can." As Ana sipped the water, she became aware that a small crowd had gathered around. The people were staring, and she felt embarrassed. She pulled her hoodie tighter and adjusted her sunglasses, hoping no one would ask too many questions. "Is she okay?" asked a woman with a briefcase. "Should we call an ambulance?" "I think she just needs some food and rest," Luke replied, but he was watching Ana carefully. "Miss, how are you feeling now?" "Better, thank you," Ana said, though she still felt dizzy. "I should probably get going. My train will be here soon." As she tried to stand up, her hoodie shifted slightly, and Luke caught a glimpse of the dark bruise on her arm. His expression changed, and Ana saw recognition in his eyes. She quickly pulled her sleeve down, but it was too late. Luke had seen those kinds of marks before. Growing up, he had watched his own mother try to hide similar bruises. He knew that look of fear and shame that Ana was carrying. "Ma'am," he said gently, "you don't look like you're in any condition to travel alone tonight. Where are you headed?" Ana hesitated. She didn't know this stranger, but something about his calm presence made her feel safer than she had in months. "I'm going to see my sister. She lives about 4 hours away." "Does she know you're coming?" Ana looked down at her hands. "No, I had to leave quickly. I couldn't call ahead." Luke nodded, understanding more than Ana realized. "Listen, I know we just met, but I can see you're in trouble. My ranch is about an hour from here. I have a guest cabin that's empty. You could stay there tonight, get some rest, and then continue your journey tomorrow when you're feeling stronger." Ana's first instinct was to say no. She had learned not to trust people easily, especially men. But something about Luke felt different. He wasn't pushy or demanding. He was just offering help, the way someone might offer an umbrella in the rain. "I don't know," she said quietly. "I don't want to be any trouble." "You wouldn't be trouble at all," Luke assured her. "The cabin has everything you need. It's private, safe, and quiet. You look like you could use a good night's sleep." Ana thought about her options. She could get on the train and hope she didn't collapse again during the journey. She could try to find a cheap motel in this unfamiliar city. Or she could trust this kind stranger who had already shown her more gentleness than she had experienced in years. "Why would you help me?" she asked. "You don't even know me." Luke was quiet for a moment, then said, "Because someone should have helped my mother when she needed it. And because everyone deserves to feel safe." Those words hit Ana right in the heart. She looked into Luke's eyes and saw no hidden agenda, no expectation of anything in return. "Just genuine kindness, okay," she whispered. "Thank you." Luke smiled. And for the first time in months, Ana felt like maybe everything was going to be okay. He helped her to her feet slowly, making sure she was steady before letting go. "My truck is in the parking lot. We'll take our time getting there," he said. "And if you change your mind at any point, just say so. I'll bring you right back here." As they walked slowly through the train station, Ana noticed how Luke stayed close enough to help if she stumbled, but far enough away that she didn't feel crowded. He carried her bag without being asked, and he kept checking to make sure she was okay. What kind of ranch do you have? Aina asked, trying to make conversation. Cattle ranch mostly. But I also work with horses. I have a program where kids from the city come out to learn about ranch life. It helps them, and it helps me too. Aina could picture it in her mind. Wide open spaces, fresh air, and the kind of peace she hadn't felt in years. It sounds beautiful. It is, Luke said, especially this time of year. The wildflowers are blooming, and the sunsets are something special. When they reached Luke's truck, Aina was surprised to see how clean and well-maintained it was. He opened the passenger door for her and made sure she was comfortable before getting in himself. The drive will give you time to rest, he said as he started the engine. And if you want to talk, I'm a good listener. If you want to be quiet, that's fine too. As they drove away from the city lights, Aina felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Maybe falling down at that train station wasn't the worst thing that could have happened to her. Maybe it was exactly what she needed. For the first time in years, Aina was going somewhere where she might actually be safe. And it was all because a stranger with a kind heart had been in the right place at the right time, ready to catch her when she fell. The drive to Luke's ranch felt like entering a different world. As they left the busy city behind, Aina watched the landscape change from concrete buildings to rolling hills dotted with trees. The setting sun painted everything in soft golden colors, and for the first time in months, she felt her shoulders relax. Almost there, Luke said gently, noticing how Aina was staring out the window. The guest cabin is just past that hill. When they arrived, Aina couldn't believe what she saw. The ranch stretched out as far as she could see, with green pastures where cattle grazed peacefully. In the distance, she could make out horses moving slowly across a field. The main house was a simple but welcoming structure with a wraparound porch, and about 100 yards away sat a smaller cabin. That's where you'll be staying, Luke said, pointing to the cabin. It's got everything you need. Kitchen, bathroom, comfortable bed, and most importantly, it's completely private. Aina felt tears forming in her eyes. After living in fear for so long, the idea of having her own safe space seemed almost too good to be true. Luke parked the truck and helped Aina out carefully. Let me show you around, he said, carrying her bag toward the cabin. The inside was simple but clean and cozy. There was a small living room with a comfortable couch, a tiny kitchen with a dining table, and a bedroom with a bed that looked like it had fresh sheets. Everything was neat and organized, but it felt warm and welcoming. The refrigerator is stocked with basics, Luke explained. Milk, eggs, bread, some fruit. There's coffee and tea in the cabinet. If you need anything else, just let me know. Aina walked around the small space, touching the furniture gently. It's perfect, she whispered. I can't believe you're doing this for me. Everyone deserves a safe place to rest, Luke replied. The bathroom has fresh towels and soap. The hot water works great, and see this? He showed her a small button by the front door. If you ever feel unsafe or need help, just press this. It connects directly to my house. Aina nodded, feeling overwhelmed by his kindness. What do I owe you for this? Nothing, Luke said firmly. Just focus on getting better, that's payment enough. After Luke left, Aina stood in the middle of the cabin and cried. For the first time in years, she was alone without being afraid. There was no one to walk on eggshells around, no one to make angry, no one to hurt her. She was just safe. That night, she slept for 12 hours straight. When she woke up, she found a basket of fresh fruit and homemade muffins on her front porch with a note. Hope you slept well. No rush to do anything today. Just rest. Luke, the days that followed were like a dream. Aina would wake up to the sound of birds singing instead of angry shouting. She would eat breakfast at her own pace, without someone complaining about the noise she made. She would sit on the small porch and watch the horses in the distance, feeling peace she had forgotten existed. Luke was wonderful about giving her space. He would check on her once a day, usually bringing fresh food or flowers from his garden. He never stayed long, never asked personal questions, and never made her feel like she owed him anything. How are you feeling today? He would ask, and Aina would always say, "Better, thank you," and it was true. Each day she felt a little stronger, a little more like herself. After a week, Aina started taking short walks around the property. The fresh air and gentle exercise felt good, and she loved seeing the animals up close. Luke noticed her interest and one day asked if she'd like to help with some light chores. "I don't want to put you to work," he said quickly. "But sometimes keeping busy helps when you're healing from difficult times." Aina agreed, and soon she was helping to feed the chickens and collect eggs. It was simple work, but it made her feel useful and productive. She hadn't realized how much she missed having a purpose. One afternoon, while she was scattering feed for the chickens, Luke approached her carefully. "Aina, can I ask you something?" She tensed up, worried he was going to ask about her past. But instead he said, "Are you feeling well enough to meet my horses? I think they might like you." Aina's face lit up. She had always loved animals, but her husband had never allowed pets. "I'd love to meet them." Luke led her to the stable where several horses were kept. "This is Bella," he said, introducing her to a gentle brown mare. "She's been through some tough times, too. She was rescued from a bad situation about 2 years ago." As Aina reached out to pet Bella's nose, the horse nuzzled her hand gently. "She likes you," Luke observed. Animals can sense when someone has a good heart. Over the next few weeks, Aina spent more and more time with the horses. She learned to brush them, feed them, and even help with simple medical care. Luke taught her everything patiently, never rushing her or making her feel stupid for not knowing something. "You're a natural with them," he told her one day as they watched her gently coax a nervous young horse to take an apple from her hand. "They trust you." Anna felt proud of herself for the first time in years. She was learning new skills, helping with important work and feeling like she mattered. During the quiet evenings, she and Luke would sometimes sit on the porch of the main house and talk. He told her about his ranch, his work with troubled youth, and his dreams of expanding the program to help more people. "I believe everyone deserves a second chance," he said one evening as they watched the sunset. "Sometimes people just need someone to believe in them." Aina knew he was talking about her too, and she felt grateful beyond words. She also learned that Luke had lost his wife to cancer 3 years earlier, and that he had been lonely since then. "She would have liked you," he said simply. She always said the strongest people are the ones who survive the hardest times. As the weeks turned into a month, Aina realized something important was happening. She was healing, not just physically, but emotionally too. The constant fear was fading, replaced by a sense of safety and belonging she had never experienced before. She was also falling in love with Luke, though she was afraid to admit it even to herself. He was everything her husband wasn't: gentle, patient, kind, and respectful. He never raised his voice, never demanded anything from her, and always treated her like she was valuable and important. But Aina also knew that her peaceful new life couldn't last forever. Her past was still out there, and eventually she would have to face it. For now, though, she was content to heal and grow stronger in this beautiful sanctuary that Luke had given her. Aina had been living peacefully at the ranch for almost 2 months when her worst nightmare came true. She was in the stable brushing Bella when she heard the sound of a car engine coming up the long driveway. It wasn't Luke's truck. She knew that sound by heart. This was different, aggressive, angry. Her heart started beating fast as she recognized the black sedan pulling up to the main house. It was David, her husband, and he had found her. Aina's hands started shaking so badly she could barely hold the brush. Bella sensed her fear and nickered softly, nuzzling her shoulder as if trying to comfort her. But Aina was frozen with terror, remembering all the times David had hurt her, all the threats he had made. "Aina!" David's voice carried across the ranch, loud and demanding. "I know you're here. Get out here right now." Luke came out of the main house, moving calmly but purposefully toward the car. Anna could see them from the stable window, and she watched as David got out of his car, his face red with anger. "Where is she?" David demanded, pointing a finger at Luke. "Where is my wife?" "Sir, you need to calm down," Luke said, his voice steady but firm. "You're on private property and you're disturbing the peace." David laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. Disturbing the peace? My wife runs away from home, steals my money, and disappears for 2 months, and you're worried about disturbing the peace. Ana wanted to run and hide, but she also knew she couldn't. Let Luke face David alone. This was her problem, her past, and she needed to deal with it. Taking a deep breath, she left the stable and walked toward the two men. David, she said quietly, her voice shaking. How did you find me? He turned toward her, and she could see the fury in his eyes. You used your credit card at that gas station in town last week. Did you think I was stupid? Did you think you could just disappear? Ana had forgotten about buying gas. She had been so careful for so long, but one small mistake had led him right to her. You're coming home with me right now, David said, taking a step toward her. We're going to forget this whole crazy episode, and you're going to start acting like a proper wife again. No, Ana said, surprising herself with the firmness in her voice. I'm not coming back. David's face got even redder. What did you say? To me? Luke stepped between them, not aggressively, but protectively. The lady has made her choice clear. She doesn't want to go with you. This is between me and my wife, David snarled. This has nothing to do with you, Cowboy. It has everything to do with me when someone comes onto my property and threatens a guest, Luke replied calmly. Ana is welcome to stay here as long as she wants. David looked back and forth between Luke and Ana, his anger growing. What's going on here? Are you sleeping with this guy, Ana? Is that what this is about? Ana felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment, but she stood her ground. This is about me being safe, David, something I never was with you. Safe? David laughed bitterly. I gave you everything. A house, money, security. What more could you want? I wanted to not be afraid every day, Ana said, her voice getting stronger. I wanted to not have bruises on my arms. I wanted to not worry about what mood you'd be. And when you came home, David's expression changed, becoming the fake sweetness she remembered so well. Baby, you know I never meant to hurt you. I was just stressed with work. Things will be different now, I promise. Ana had heard those promises 100 times before. No, David, I'm not coming back. I'm filing for divorce. The fake sweetness disappeared instantly. David lunged toward Ana, his hand raised to strike her, but Luke was faster. He caught David's wrist and held it firmly. That's enough, Luke said, his voice still calm but with an edge of steel. You need to leave. Now, let go of me. David struggled against Luke's grip, but Luke was stronger from years of ranch work. I'll let go when you get back in your car. And drive away, Luke said. Ana has made her choice. You need to respect that. For a moment, Ana thought David might try to fight Luke, but he seemed to realize he was outmatched. Luke wasn't just bigger and stronger, he was calmer, more controlled. And clearly not afraid, David yanked his arm free and pointed at Ana. This isn't over. You're still my wife, and you can't just run away from your responsibilities? My only responsibility is to keep myself and my baby safe, Ana said. Putting her hand protectively over her stomach, David's eyes widened. He had been so angry he hadn't noticed that Ana was starting to show her pregnancy. Baby? What baby? Your baby, Ana said quietly. The one you threatened to hurt the night I left. For just a moment, David looked confused, as if he didn't remember. Then his face hardened again. All the more reason for you to come home. A child needs both parents. A child needs to be safe, Luke said firmly. And Ana and her baby are safe. Here, David looked around the ranch, taking in the peaceful setting, the well-maintained buildings, and Luke's obvious strength and capability. Ana could see him realizing that he was outnumbered and outmatched. Fine, he said finally. But this isn't over, Ana. I'll be talking to my lawyer. You can't just take my child and disappear. I'm not disappearing, Ana said. I'm protecting us. There's a difference. After David drove away, Ana collapsed onto the porch steps, shaking all over. Luke sat down beside her, not too close, but close enough that she knew he was there. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry he came here. I never wanted to bring my problems to your home. You didn't bring your problems here, Luke said gently. You brought yourself here, and you're not a problem? You're a person who deserves to be treated with kindness and respect. Aina looked at him, tears streaming down her face. He's not going to give up. He'll keep coming back. He'll make legal trouble. He'll try to take the baby. Then we'll deal with it, Luke said simply. Together, why? Anna asked. Why are you willing to help me with all this? You barely know me. Luke was quiet for a long moment. My father used to hit my mother, he said finally. I was too young to protect her then. But I'm not too young now, and I'm not going to stand by and watch another woman get hurt if I can help it. Aina felt something shift inside her heart. This man, this incredible, kind, strong man, was willing to stand with her against David. No one had ever protected her before. No one had ever put themselves at risk for her safety. Luke, she whispered, yeah, thank you for everything. For saving me at the train station, for giving me a safe place to stay, for standing up to David. I don't know how I'll ever repay you. Luke smiled, and it was like sunshine after a storm. You don't need to repay me, Aina. You just need to be safe and happy. That's all the payment I need. As they sat together on the porch, watching the sun set over the peaceful ranch, Aina realized something important. She wasn't the same scared, broken woman who had collapsed at the train station 2 months ago. She was stronger now, braver, and she wasn't alone anymore. Whatever David tried to do next, she would face it with Luke beside her. And for the first time since she could remember, she believed that everything might actually be okay. 6 months after David's angry visit to the ranch, Aina was in the hospital holding the most beautiful baby she had ever seen. Her daughter was perfect, with tiny fingers that gripped Aina's thumb and bright eyes that seemed to take in everything around her. She's gorgeous, Luke whispered from the chair beside the hospital bed. His eyes were filled with wonder as he looked at the baby. What are you going to name her? Aina had been thinking about this for months. I want to call her Hope, she said, softly, because that's what she represents to me. Hope for a better future. Luke smiled, and Aina could see tears forming in his eyes. He had been with her through every doctor's appointment, every sleepless night when she worried about the future, and every moment of fear when she wondered if David would try to take the baby away. The legal battles had been difficult but manageable. With help from a lawyer that Luke had found for her, Aina had filed for divorce and gotten a restraining order against David. When he tried to claim rights to the baby, the court had looked at his history of domestic violence and ruled in Aina's favor. He was allowed supervised visits only, and so far he hadn't bothered to show up for any of them. Would you like to hold her? Aina asked Luke, seeing how he was looking at little Hope. Luke's face lit up. Are you sure? I don't want to overstep. You're not overstepping, Aina said firmly. You've been here for everything else. You should get to hold her too. Luke carefully took the baby in his strong arms, and Aina watched as his whole face softened. Hope seemed completely comfortable with him, making tiny cooing sounds as he gently rocked her. Hi there, little one, Luke whispered. Welcome to the world. Watching Luke with her daughter, Aina felt her heart fill with love. Over the past months, their friendship had slowly grown into something deeper. Luke had never pushed or rushed her. He had simply been there, steady and supportive, letting her heal at her own pace. It started with small moments. The way he would save her the last muffin at breakfast. How he would check on her when storms made her nervous. The gentle way he taught her to work with the horses, always patient when she got scared or confused. Then came the evening when Aina had a nightmare about David and woke up crying. Luke had heard her from the main house and came running, thinking someone was trying to hurt her. When he realized it was just a bad dream, he sat with her on the porch until sunrise, talking quietly about anything and everything until she felt calm again. I think I'm falling in love with you, Anna had whispered that morning as the sun came up over the ranch. I think I fell in love with you the day I caught you at the train station, Luke had replied. I've just been waiting for you to heal enough to be ready for love again. Now, 3 days after Hope's birth, they were finally bringing the baby home to the ranch. Aina had moved into the main house with Luke a month before the birth, and they had converted one of the bedrooms into a beautiful nursery. Look, Hope, Anna said as Luke carried the baby into the house. This is your home." The nursery was painted a soft yellow with white furniture and curtains that Luke had hung himself. There were stuffed animals on the shelves and a mobile with horses and stars hanging over the crib. It was everything Aina had dreamed of but never thought she would have over the next few weeks. Aina watched in amazement as Luke became a natural father to Hope. He changed diapers without complaining, walked the floors with her when she was fussy, and sang silly songs that made her smile. He had never had children of his own, but he took to fatherhood like he was born for it. "You're so good with her," Aina told him one evening as they sat together on the couch, Hope sleeping peacefully in Luke's arms. "She makes it easy," Luke replied. "She's just like her mother, beautiful and strong." Aina felt tears in her eyes. "I never thought I could have this, a real family, a safe home. Someone who loves us both." "Well, you have it now," Luke said, leaning over to kiss her forehead. "And you're never going to lose it." As Hope grew from a tiny baby into a curious toddler, Aina threw herself into building their new life. She had started taking online classes to become a veterinary assistant, inspired by her work with Luke's horses. She discovered she had a natural gift for helping injured animals. Just like Luke had a gift for helping injured people, the ranch became busier as Luke expanded his program for troubled youth. Aina helped by working with the gentler horses, teaching the visiting kids how to brush them and feed them treats. She understood what it felt like to be scared and hurt, and she could connect with the children in ways that surprised everyone. "You're changing their lives?" Luke told her one day after she had spent hours working with a shy teenage girl who reminded Aina of herself. "They're changing mine too," Aina replied. "Helping them helps me remember how far I've come." 2 years after Hope was born, on a beautiful spring morning with wildflowers blooming across the pastures, Luke asked Aina to marry him. He did it simply, without fancy rings or elaborate plans. They were sitting on the porch watching Hope chase butterflies in the yard when he turned to her and said, "I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me?" Aina didn't hesitate. "Yes," she said, throwing her arms around him. "Yes, yes, yes." Their wedding was small and perfect, held right there on the ranch with Hope as their flower girl and the horses as witnesses. Aina wore a simple white dress that made her feel beautiful, and Luke wore his best shirt and a new cowboy hat. The minister was a friend of Luke's from town, and the only guests were a few neighbors and the young people from Luke's program who had become like family to them. As they exchanged vows, Aina thought about how different her life was now from that terrible night when she had collapsed at the train station. She had been broken then, scared and alone with nowhere to turn. Now she was surrounded by love, standing next to a man who treated her like she was precious, holding a daughter who would never know what it felt like to live in fear. "I promise to love you and protect you for the rest of my life," Luke said, taking her hands in his. "I promise to trust you and stand beside you through everything," Aina replied, meaning every word. After the ceremony, as they danced to soft music under the stars with Hope sleeping in her grandmother's arms, Aina realized something important. Sometimes the worst moments of our lives lead us to the best ones. Sometimes falling down is the first step to flying. "What are you thinking about?" Luke asked, spinning her gently in his arms. "I'm thinking about how lucky I am," Aina said. "How one stranger's kindness changed everything." "We're both lucky," Luke said, pulling her closer. "We found each other when we both needed healing." As the night grew late and their few guests went home, Aina and Luke sat together on their porch, Hope sleeping peacefully between them, the ranch stretched out before them. Peaceful and beautiful under the moonlight, Aina looked at her new husband and their daughter, and she felt completely and perfectly happy. She had everything she had ever wanted but been afraid to dream of: safety, love, and hope for the future. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and new joys, but tonight was perfect. Tonight was the beginning of the rest of their beautiful life together.